Welcome everyone to Hard Talk with You family. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And this is the Three Souls Awakening live chat series so far. So we have been meeting new friends, really special people along the way. And it's amazing because these are awakening people that we speak the same language. It's fantastic. I think we are connecting, we're growing, we're building, and we are co-creating as well. So great community that we are getting now. And I am so excited. I'm very honored to be part of this journey. So thank you, girls. This is really, really good. And over to you, Helena.
Oh, thank you, Vicky and Nin, and everyone out there for all your support, with my last live chat, basically on my awakening to becoming a more conscious parent to my two beautiful girls. So I'm sharing my experiences in the hope that you can all, sort of pick some nuggets of gold and use some of the things that I have shared. And if it can help you and assist you sort of in your own life, then, at least you can implement some of the strategies, to help your parenting journey and also to, sort of, well, to awaken the children. But as we know, most of our children are already awakened, and it's all about us, getting to that awakened state and understanding them. So it was a great sort of, well, I felt it was actually a great a great story. I felt really loved and compelled to share, and I just hope that it has sort of impacted you in some way. Yes, we love answering your questions, so by all means, leave your questions in the comment box so that we can answer and we can, at least we can chat about certain things. And so look, leave it in the box so that Vicky and I and Nin can actually help answer whatever questions you may have. And or even just pop in and say hi to us. It'll be nice to see, um, that you're joining us on the live tonight. Now, I guess it's time to get started with Nin's third awakening. The moment that I think has changed her reality. Over to you, Nin.
Thanks, Helena. Thanks for the intro there. And yeah, this is my third awakening. Lots of us have more than one awakening, sometimes even more than three. But I think for myself, I think I have four altogether. And I will share today with you all my third awakening moment that really, really allowed me to change my reality and become like a creator of my own reality. But before I get started, I wanted to say hello to Tao, our soul sister. Thanks for joining us, Tao. So lovely to have you on every week, and Rachel as well. Your sister Rachel joining us and on this journey. Thank you very much for supporting us. And let's get started. So I'll just put on my slide. And yes. So I'm going to journey through from my first awakening to my third awakening, just a summary so that everyone that is just joining us today can follow along with it. So in 1991 was my first awakening when I was 13 years old, when my grandmother passed away. She was like a mother figure to me because when my mum had me, it was during the Pol Pot era in Cambodia. We were just surviving, and my mum herself was only 21 at the time. And so we were so fortunate that both my mum and dad were there, and also my grandfather and grandmother. So my grandmother took care of myself from birth. So she was there at my birth, and then she took care of us as we transitioned to Thailand and then transitioned to Australia. I arrived in Australia when I was 4 years old. And then entered school in Australia. So I at this time, by the time I entered school, I really did see myself as an Aussie. I had no idea of my cultural heritage or any any memories of Cambodia or any association with Cambodia. I was an Aussie. Um, Looked Asian on the outside, but I was like an Aussie inside. And then my second awakening was in 2007, when I was 28 years old. At this time, I was already married. I had just had two little boys. And then I think just at this time, I just had my first one, sorry. And then my parents, had some cracks in their relationship. I went into having my second child, and then shortly after he was born, in 2007, they divorced. So my grandma passing away like shook my world. Like she was the one that loved me unconditionally, and so therefore after her passing, I measured everyone, everyone's intentions and everything against her love for me growing up. And it was difficult growing up and making friends and so forth. In 2007, when I had my second awakening, when my parents divorced, I lived a very blessed life up to then. My parents did everything, they worked so hard to give us everything that they didn't have. And so being the receiver of that, I actually lived a very blessed life, but a very sheltered life. And I thought my parents' relationship was perfect, and so did the rest of the community. They thought that my parents' relationship, as well as my family, was like perfect. And then when my dad left in 2007, it became a reality for everyone else. And then it was like my picture perfect family was shattered into pieces. And so I had to pick myself up and say, hey, look, I've got two little kids, I've got a husband, I've got a mother-in-law, and so therefore I have my own family. So therefore I chose to, look forward. I couldn't change what was already done, so I felt like I'll just leave it there. It's not going to change. I'm just going to move on and do what I need to do to take care of my own family. And so that's how I proceeded. And in 2011, at this time, my husband was doing running a coffee shop, and then I was working a white collar job, office job. And so there was lots of disconnection between my husband and first moving on from this trauma of the divorce, and then I guess I was a bit fractured building my own relationship and my own family, but I still kept on going. And then I started to feel like the crack getting bigger in my own relationship. I just couldn't hold it together. So then I decided to, there was like communication issues and disconnect. And so I decided to leave my white collar professional job and go into coffee with my husband in 2011. We didn't actually do it together. We actually had one coffee shop each to run. So, but I thought I wanted to speak the same language as him. I wanted to mend our relationship, because at this point I knew that my relationship was more important. I needed to mend my relationship first, so that we were strong as a husband and wife team and a family. So I left my job in 2011 and went and did coffee with my husband. So in 2012 as well, around the same time, shortly after, we purchased our dream home, a 2-story. I think it was 5 bedrooms at the top, two rooms downstairs, double garage, rendered, cream rendered. It was. We didn't actually build it brand new, but we bought it, of someone else relatively new, and that was our dream home. We were like so happy, but inside, in the pursuit of that dream home, and then obviously the family expanded, so then we had to upgrade our car as well. So I think this is a normal life journey, I guess, for a lot of people. And everyone was happy. We looked like a perfect family on the outside, but I definitely didn't feel inside that it was a perfect family. I was happy that I was making all my family happy, but I was holding a deep secret. I was not happy, because I was bearing the burden of everything. And then it started to crack and crack more, and to the point where I had my third awakening in 2015. So this was like 5 years later. So one day I was, and in between this time too, so my grandfather passed away, my auntie passed away, my other 2 grandparents passed away. So I had 4 people passing away as well in the space of this time, and so a lot to deal with. And business was doing okay, it was just getting by. And again, everyone thought I had a perfect family, but inside I was, struggling. And I couldn't tell anyone, like sometimes so what happened was I was at the temple one day. My family we have like a family temple that my family is a big part of. And one day I was at the temple and I was listening to one of the monks' sermon, and the sermon was on how we are not happy because we have put invisible chains around us, which then becomes like an invisible prison, and then you can't, you can't tell that it's there because it's invisible, and you don't even realize that you're actually the one who put it in there, until I was there. I was just holding it in. I was just like, yep, I'm going to sacrifice my happiness, my internal happiness for everyone else, right? As a woman and as a mom and as a wife, I think we, in a way, invisibly expected, or we put that expectation on ourselves. But that day when the monk said that, it just resonated with us, and the important, like in my soul, it just kind of resonated throughout my soul. And then and when he actually said that we're the one that put it there, and then we're the only one that can remove it, right? But first you have to be aware that there are invisible chains, because they are and that there is an invisible prison around you. You've actually put it yourself, and that the only person that can remove it. I started crying. Like, it wasn't like it was just like tears in the middle of the temple with 100 people around me. Like, my tears were rolling down my eyes, and my soul was weeping. Because why was I weeping? Because it was the truth. He was saying the truth. He was, when I heard that my unhappiness was because I had put invisible chains around myself, and then only I can unchain them because I had put them there in the first place. When he said that, I was like, that is the truth, and that's why it resonated with me, and that's why I actually, had tears rolling down my face, and then my soul started to weep, weep, and then because it was the truth. That's what the truth does to you, even though it was very hard to hear at the time. And but it was the truth, and that's what the truth does to you. It shatters those invisible chains and invisible prisons around you that you've built. And where do they come from? Like, they come from like culture. They come from, expectations. They come from expectations that you put on yourself. Holding on to like the perfect life or the dream. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just important just to be okay with it, with everything, and be contented. So I suddenly had nowhere to run and hide, and no one to blame but myself. I had to be a big girl, and own up to it, and also to gather the courage to undo all of it. Where do I start? So it was not an easy process. It took me 2 years after that, until 2017, when to unravel these things. And but lucky at the time I was working with my husband, and I had his support. Like and it actually strengthened my relationship, because one of the invisible chains that I had was I was too scared to show my husband my true feelings and speak about my feelings and how I felt about things, and that were like bit deep and difficult. And so I would never talk to him about it. But lucky at the time we were doing coffee, so we would be driving to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and back exhausted. So that they're the perfect time to talk. Those are the times when I chose to bring up some tough topics with my husband. And I was so scared. I was so scared, but like, because of that truth that was revealed to me, I knew that I had to do it. And you know what? I had to keep reminding myself, like, constantly over the 2 years, and even now, that I deserve to be happy too. It's good for everyone, in your family, for the kids, the husband, the mother-in-law, the mum, the brother, the cousins, the friends. It's good for all of them to be happy, but you have to be happy first. Like, your cup has to be full first. So in this process, I learned that I had the power to change my reality, and I had and that I deserved to be happy also. I didn't have to, carry all the burden myself. So just a couple of things, that I really took away from it, like, for myself, I had to stop playing the victim. I had to stop saying, poor me, or even like give myself permission not to be, set that high expectation, like, because I wanted to be the best mom, I wanted to be the best wife, I wanted to be the best daughter, the best friend, everything. And then it was like, oh, but me, like, everything's me, and playing the victim, because of so and so, that's why I have to be unhappy, because I'm trying to make so and so happy. Then I at the expense of my own happiness, And so during those 2 years, I had to find a new balance. So I started having to change my reality, and because only you have the power to change your own reality. You can't really change someone else's reality, but you can change your own reality. And because only you can make yourself happy, like no one else. That's what I learned in this process is that I have to have the courage to, and the permission, give myself the permission to be happy too. And there's a lot of courage in there. Like, I had to dig deep and find courage, find courage to talk to my husband, to reveal, the things that I've kind of bottled away, even though sometimes some of the things sound trivial, sound like well, that's nothing, you know what I mean? Um, but it was important to me. So if it's important to you, then that's what I learned, that it is important, you know, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And then, so you had to build up the courage to take the necessary steps to break free of that invisible prison that you put around yourself. And sometimes it's just your own expectation, you know what I mean, that you've put on yourself. And also, what I learned in this process as well is remember to do it with love. You know, take your time, really think about it, role play it over. You know, really pinpoint what it is that that is the chain that you put around yourself. Because sometimes when at first it was so confusing, you know, it was so confusing, but I did go into I'm not happy because of so and so, I'm not happy because so and this happened, I'm not happy because of the playing that victim mentality. But then when I realized and I took ownership of myself and I was like, no, I have the power to change my reality, then that was when I realized, like, I can do this, and that to take my time, you know, like to take my time, to be intentional about it, to give the people around me, you know, because I was hiding myself, all my unhappiness and all, you know, my pain and struggle. And so the people around me, when they look at me, they look like I'm perfect and that I am happy, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so when you suddenly turn around and say you're not happy about this and you're not happy about that, that you're coming from kind of left field. And so that's how I felt at first, you know, and then it was a bit hard on the people around me. I had a lot of backlash back to me. And then because everyone is happy with you being a certain way, you know, and everyone's used to you being a certain way. And then when you start putting boundaries and not doing something that you used to do for someone, or doing, you know, making new friends and, you know, not disconnecting with some people, you know, and putting boundaries in place, people are shocked, you know, and people react to it. And so what I learned is to take my time and to do one little thing at a time, and not just to rush and do it all at once. And so that's it. So that's how I changed my reality, not all in one. It did take a little time, you know. I spent a lot of the time reflecting over what was the actual issue, and actually role playing, like how I would, you know, approach certain people or approach certain situations. And then I you know, one of the things is I asked that person permission. When I'm driving home from the coffee shop with my husband, I would actually feel intuitively like this is a good time to bring it up. And then I will like say, ask permission, you know. I'll be like, oh look, can I talk to you about something that's been on my heart? You know, I really need to talk about it. I'm like, you just have to listen. You don't even have to respond, you know. I really just have to get it off my chest. And then and I think also along this process, my husband and I like became really like stronger, because we started communicating all the issues. And I learned something new about him too, that he's so loving and that he actually understands all this stuff. And you know, a lot of the conversation was around happiness. You know, what makes you happy, you know, what makes you happy, and aligning myself with him, aligning us together. And so yeah, so I encourage you all to you know the truth, that, you know, it's okay if you made a mistake, it's okay if you put the chains around you, so long as you become aware that you have put them around you. You don't have to react or do anything straight away. Helena says pause, and not just pause, you know, reflect on it, you know, think about it, role play it, you know, practice it on your friend, I don't know, or something, and do it with love, you know, do it and implement the changes with love. is that's it. That's my story. And with that process, you can change your reality or create a new reality. And this is another one. So like, just reflecting on my dad's, because when 2 years later, at the end of the majority of the unraveling, was 2017, was when I turned 40, and we were coming on turning 40. And then what happened is in that process, I actually learned that, wow, my dad actually taught me the power, even like through my pain of him leaving, and that in my second awakening, that wow, he actually taught me the power, of creating your own reality or changing your reality if you're not happy with it. And so I think once I had that revelation, and I was actually, in the process of like changing my reality. I didn't change my reality as drastic as he did, but I came to appreciate that, wow, it took a lot of guts for my dad to leave, and it took a lot of courage for him to, to weather all the backlashes from everyone. And so when I learned to create my own reality, I really appreciated him. And so therefore, that's how I came to forgive my dad, I have no hard feelings against him. I actually, I'm so proud of him that, he took the necessary actions to make himself just a little bit more happier than he was. And we all deserve that. We all deserve to be happy. That's my story. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Lots of comments there. Oh my God, Patty, thank you. Patty joined us. I hope you're okay with me sharing this wonderful story. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining my story, and Melita as well. Thank you for joining and listening. Yeah, so I hope my story is not, I'm not telling my story from a place of, oh, I want people to like get rid of their husband, get rid of their children, like my dad was quite drastic. The way that he did it was like literally just left and created a whole new family, whole new life. Whereas like for me, I was like, I was conscious enough to pick a husband that I loved, so in that process of finding my husband, or picking my husband, I picked him with love, and then obviously my children came with love, and mother-in-law came with husband with love as well. So it wasn't really that I was not happy with my family or the choices that the things that I created in my family, but it was just, for me, I think it was trying to be the perfect mom, trying to be the perfect wife, trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect daughter-in-law, sister, and all of that I had put chains and chains and chains and chains and chains around myself, and I had to break free from it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Nice story. Thank you. Yes. And I guess it's creating, being aware is really important. Being aware that you are not happy, so yeah, but that's what an amazing story. And I guess a lot of us would probably be going through the same thing, but maybe not, and maybe not even being, not aware. And I guess you've got to ask yourself, pause and ask yourself, are you happy? Are you happy in the relationship? Are you happy with your job? Are you happy with what you're doing? Because it's the awareness that will create the change. And obviously change requires courage. So you've nailed it there. Thank you so much. Well, I've got a question. So in the sense that even though you weren't happy, right, and realizing that you weren't happy, would you have changed anything that's happened over the many years anyway?
I don't think I would have changed anything, because that is the journey. I think if I changed anything, then I wouldn't actually learn, to create my own reality. Like, but I would say that I actually see a lot of kids, like some people that I do my clients for Nin Healing. There are a lot of younger people are coming in, and like they're actually more awake. The awakened young women and young men, and so they talk about these things more. I think in my generation, when I was getting married, having kids and stuff like that, it wasn't really spoken of. Well-being and wellness and mindfulness and all these things, and so there was nothing to really be aware of. It just felt like, yep, I'm doing everything whatever everyone else is doing, and yeah, I'm happy. But I think it was around the time also when a lot of wellness and mindfulness and all of that stuff came out, that it really, like, it took me sitting at the temple for the monk, to have a sermon. And I think my soul was ready to hear it at that time, because I'm pretty sure the monks have, those sermons, a lot. And but that particular person, it was a guest monk, and he just said it in a different way, and I think he had the courage to say it and say it so truth. And that's the power of truth. When someone speaks truth into your life, it really wakes you up. So it was definitely an awakening moment. I had chills all over my body. I was, like, it resonated in my soul. I don't think I would change anything. The only thing that I would say is that I wish I knew it earlier. You know what I mean? Then I could have, like, been happier, a lot more happier. Mind you, I wasn't, like, not happy. Like, that was probably one of the illusion as well, was that I was happy, being selfless for my son. I was happy being selfless for my husband. When they were happy, I was happy, because of them. But then I got to a point where, wait a moment, everyone is so happy but I'm, there's a part of me that's not happy too, and I deserve to be fully happy as well, right?
Yeah.
And so, so then, so that's why, like, it wasn't like a huge change in my life. A lot of the people that know me, like, from far, I don't think they would have known. Like, the only thing that they probably know was I had become, like, things that I was doing before, I stopped doing some of them, and then obviously those people would have been like, what's up with Nin? What's up with her now? Kind of thing. Or she's being a bit distant, I had to put boundaries in and stuff like that. So those people, and I think, like, part of the journey that I learned as well is that don't think about what other people are thinking, because the process is to get you to a happier place, and then the people that were in your life and, like, happy that you were giving them a lot, a lot too much of yourself, then, if they're not happy, then so be it. You know what I mean? Because it was probably excessive anyway. You know what I mean? And so you deserve to be happy as well, and keep your cup full. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Wrong answer, sorry.
Vicky, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. I was trying to talk. I was like, hey, I just want to mention something that you said. It's really important that we actually create those invisible chains. We are the ones that make that choice. We put so much pressure on ourselves to make everyone happy to the cost of our own happiness. And the same way we put them on, we can take them off. But we cannot take them off until we're aware that we are doing it. So I think if we are not happy, I think it's really important to reflect and realize what is not going right for us, and then taking action to make those changes. Because I think we
Yes.
get so used to be unhappy. And the funny thing is that we make ourselves unhappy with our own choices, right?
Yes.
And that's the funny thing. We are the ones that are making the choices to put
Yeah.
them up. Um,
Mm.
and, and once you realize, I think, like Kalina says as well, just pause, reflect, and then think what you can do to take them up, you know?
Yeah.
I think it happens to all of us, but we don't see
Yeah.
it. And sometimes
Yeah.
it takes a lot. It takes like a really hard moment, or it takes sometimes to the extreme for us to see what's actually happening. And
Yes.
it's better to realize before we get a discussion or an argument with someone.
Mm.
It's better to avoid that. And
Yeah.
if something is not right, what can I do to change this? And you
Yeah.
have the power. You absolutely have the power to make
Mm.
all the changes to start making yourself happy again. So
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic story. And thank you for sharing that, Ning, because it makes us reflect
Mm.
as well
Yeah.
our own life.
Yeah. And it
We can
does
all,
it.
we can all relate to the story. I think we
Definitely.
all
Yeah.
do. Mm,
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
it's just definitely takes a lot of courage. But firstly, obviously, you have to reflect and know what it is, what chains you put around yourself, you know, and and then you have to go through a process of, like, I know I went through a process of forgiving myself, for not knowing or putting
Mm.
it. And so a lot of the times when I had to confront people, I would take people out to coffee or lunch or something, right? And I definitely could have done it better. You know what I mean? And I think that's why we're here to share these stories, to teach you ways of how to do it better, right? The first time, because I had to learn and make mistake, and in not knowing and trying to figure it out, I burnt a lot of relationships. Like I went cold turkey on people, some of them, and obviously they're not in my life now, right? But because with relationship with people, like once you obviously ruin the relationship, it's very difficult to reconnect the same again. And so I guess, like, to do it with love, like, think of how would you, like, if someone was going to confront you about something, and they wanted to change or do something different, like, how would you like to receive that
Mm.
information and then do it that way? I've been, like, teaching people to live with love. I think I had to go through that experience to teach people how to live with love. It's okay that you made a mistake. Like, I know that there's certain things that it was me. It was my fault. Um, yeah, like, it was my fault. I was giving too much. And then I just couldn't give anymore, and so I had to apologize to them. I spent a lot of time apologizing to people. I'm so sorry, and yeah, you can't really change the relationship if once it's broken. Like, it's very hard to put it back together. But
Yeah.
some relationships like, has served its purpose, and it's like past its expiry date. You know what I mean? Anyway, when you put it into perspective. And so, yeah,
And also,
I
I think it's important not to judge ourselves, because
yes.
sometimes we are so hard on
Mm,
why didn't
mm,
I do something about it?
yeah.
Why didn't I speak about it? And it's,
Mm,
well, we need time to process, right?
yeah.
It will
And you didn't
happen.
know.
It has to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't know. Like, it's okay that you made a mistake,
Yeah.
and but it's having the courage to say, "Hey, I made a mistake, and I want change. I want a different reality. I don't want this anymore. I want something else." It's okay to give your permission self to say that.
Yeah.
And I think we have a question. I hope you're okay with me sharing this. Just because I think it will help a lot of people. Patty, Yun, thanks for joining us. We love you. Um, Sometimes people are not happy in their current situation, but they cannot make the decision to leave. They feel pity for the other person. So, what do you think about that, Helena?
That's a hard one because there's again, there is, I always say there's the head and the heart, right? You have a choice in terms of making decisions between the head and the heart, and the heart is about love, right?
Mm.
The heart is love, intuition. That's your soul. How does your soul feel? Then you've got the
Mm.
head, which is your ego, which is what is the right thing to do. Okay, there's the
Mm.
right thing to do, and there's right as in how it's right for other people. See,
Mm.
how is it going to
Yeah.
make you look? How is it going to make you feel? How are other people going to see it? What will other people think of me? Usually
Mm.
the head, I just find, is about, it's, not wanting to make the real decision because you're afraid of how other people will judge you, and how
Mm.
other people will feel about what you're doing. And it's all about, am I, how are they going to, it's all about
Well,
really judgment. And
yeah.
that's what I think. But if you work from the heart, which is from love, then love conquers all. It doesn't really matter what other people think. You see, and I
Mm.
think you just need to, for me personally, I think you need to distinguish between that and be
Mm.
aware of, okay, how do I really feel inside? What is my heart telling me? And
Mm.
compared to, should should I stay together because I need to impress people? What are people going to think of me because I'm,
Mm.
separating or whatever? So it's like, yeah, it is hard. Again, it's reaching into your heart and asking
Mm.
what is
I
it?
think
What is
absolutely.
happiness for you? You know?
Yeah,
It
definitely.
doesn't matter how hard you try to please everyone, they will never gonna be happy anyway. So it's better to make yourself happy and allow everyone to have their own opinions, which because we all,
Mm.
have the right to have our own opinion, but that doesn't mean they're gonna be right.
Yeah. I would
So
also say thanks, Vicky, for that. That was really good. And Helena, oh my God, the ego and the heart. Yeah, it's an internal battle, and I feel like when I say uh, give it time, because sometimes some relationships are very deep. You know what I mean? And so, and it wouldn't be a spiritual test if it wasn't tough and difficult. you know, like the tug on your heart, between your own happiness and someone else's happiness, right? And it's really, the matters of the heart is very complex and very, but giving time, like I mentioned, like allowing time is love as well. Leaving with love, allowing, and when I say time, it can be 2 months, it can be 5 years, you know what I mean? However long it takes, to resolve the situation, and resolve your heart, because matters of the heart is really, really difficult. It's very um, complex, and so giving the other, like when you're in this kind of situation, you'll know, like it's your soul is telling you to do one thing, and that's to be happy, to let go with love, and all of that stuff. And then then there's this physical side of you, or the other side of you, that's like, you know that's what do you call it, when you justifying it, you're justifying, like, oh, but I feel pity for that person, oh, what if that person, that person needs me, or what, and that other person can actually be playing that role, that needy role, and that thing, and actually the fact that you're feeling pity for them, actually um, you're enabling, if you think of it, you're enabling the other person to be not independent, to be needing your help, to be needing. And sometimes people on a spiritual level are making the spiritual test harder for you, because you're so compassionate about the other person. But just allow the time that you need. Allowing people time to process, to adjust, is part of living with love.
Excellent.
Thank you everyone for listening to my story. And I really hope in telling my story that it really gives everyone more perspective, and some tips and tricks on how to live with love, how giving yourself permission to create your own reality, and also to be to forgive yourself, forgive yourself for not knowing and getting yourself into the invisible prison, or chaining yourself up. And it's okay. All you have to do is just become aware of it. Ask yourself, because you might not even know. Like you say, oh, I'm not happy, but you don't even know what will make you happy. You understand? Like for me, I didn't know. Okay, well, I know that I'm not happy, and I'm aware that I'm not happy in all these issues. But then, if you go and tell, say, your husband or your best friend or your children that you're not happy, they're going to ask, oh, okay, well, what will make you happy? And then you don't even know what will make you happy, because you're too busy making everyone else happy that you don't even know what makes you happy. You know what I mean? So maybe even spending some time thinking about, well, if I know I'm not happy, but what will make me happy? You know what I mean? I had to ask myself a lot of that question too. But enough about me. Next week, we have the beautiful Vicky Rodriguez to share her third and final awakening, Vicky, with us all.
Yes, that's right.
And so I, encourage you all to come along and join our soul family next Wednesday on the 23rd of November at 8 p.m. on the Heart Talk to You Facebook live chat. We'd love to have you.
Woohoo! Can't wait.
I'm so excited. Huh?
Very excited to have you all on board, and we share our stories, and I think we support each other, so that makes us stronger. Definitely. I wish you have a lovely week, and we hope to see you next week. You're more than welcome, and as I say, you're part of the community, so feel free to interact with us anytime.
Thank you.
Okay, well, see you girls. And
see you.
Bye.